so when you give me your reasoning, is there a basis that reasoning is viable in your model?
Yeah, I already conceded. If you're talking about my presuppositions, no, right? They're presupposed. There's no basis for.
So then you have no basis for the intelligibility or viability of reason then in your model.
If you're referring specifically to my presuppositions, no. But I mean, neither.
Okay.
Neither.
And how do you know that? How do you know that there isn't a foundation for my capacity to reason, and that there's not a justificatory path? How do you know that?
Well, if there is, then provide an account for why you believe in God.
Did you just assert that there is not?
I don't think there is, but if you can provide me.
Okay. Did you assert? I didn't ask you what you think. I said, did you assert that there is no justificatory path or a rational basis for my capacity to reason?
There may be, but I'm asking you.
Now you've contradicted yourself, because just 2 minutes ago you said I had none. Now you said there may be.
Well,
Would you like to explain to the room your contradiction?
Well, I didn't contradict myself. I'm just providing clarification.
Well, which is it? Is it there may be or there is not? Because you said both things.
There may be, right? But if that's the case, I want you to provide justification for why you believe in God.
Okay, why? Why? Because everything is indicative of God. God has revealed himself in everything that exists, and he's actually revealed himself throughout human history to various individuals, and it's been recorded objectively and accurately in the Bible. Now, if you choose not to accept the self-attesting, self-authenticating nature of God's revelation, then you're going to have to tell me then what is the basis then and your ultimate authority for your predications. Oops, you already told me you don't have any. So when you ask for justification for why I believe what I believe, you've already conceded that there is no such basis in your model of reality for justification.
Well, wait a second.
Is there a basis for justification in your worldview?
I want to follow you on the line of questioning I was asking you. So, for a second, why do you believe that? I basically asked you what the justification for God is, right? And you cited the Bible, right? How do you know that the Bible? How do you know that the word of the Bible is the truth?
I've already answered that question, but I'll be glad to further elaborate on it. However, what I'd like to know is there seems to be an inconsistency here. Why would you request a justification when you have conceded that there is no basis for justification? Can you explain that incongruity?
Sure. I'll clarify what I was saying. I said there's no basis for presuppositions typically, right? People just presuppose these things to be the case, right?
So there's no justification foundationally for anything?
Not necessarily.
Why am I text muted?
Okay.
Not necessarily, but when I was asking you for what your justification for belief in God is, you cited Scripture and you cited the Bible.
Yeah, I cited God's revelatory acts, which consist of his natural revelation. God has constructed that natural and special revelation that somebody who chooses not to accept that which God has made them to know, they can rationalize that away.
So it just.
But you see, the problem that we're having here, either your model of reality provides for any or some justification, or your model does not have ultimate justification. So my question to you is, in your model of reality, do any stipulations or propositions at all, is there ultimate justification for anything?
I would say there's no ultimate justification as
then why are you asking for justification?
Let me finish what I'm trying to say. But it seems like the problem we're running into with yours is that your justification is circular, right? When I ask you why,
is that statement justifiable?
Oh my God, dude! Just let me finish, right?
Is that assumption justifiable?
When I ask you why you believe in God, right, you cite that because it's cited in the Bible. When I ask you why you believe the word of the Bible is true, you say because God revealed it to you. Well, God could have only revealed it to you through the Bible. So it just seems like circular reasoning to me, right?
Okay, now is what you have just asserted, does that have a basis to it ultimately?
No, not it doesn't.
Okay, so your evaluation is without basis then?
I think everyone's presuppositions are without
So
basis.
so can I ask you a question then? Why should we take anything you say when you have just admitted that your assertions are arbitrary and baseless?
Well, because yours are no better, right? Your
Is
presuppositions are
is
no
is
better.
is that
The only
is that assertion and evaluation, does it have an ultimate basis?
Well, let me clarify what I'm trying to say here is that both of our presuppositions, regardless, are going to be baseless. But it seems like
How do you know that?
oh my God, just be quiet. But it seems like only one of us here is engaged in circular.
Okay, so when I say to you that the Bible is the special revelation of God, is that statement false?
I would just remain agnostic to that.
Okay, so then if you're agnostic, then you cannot say that I'm without basis then. Because to say that I'm without basis is not an agnostic position. You've now contradicted yourself again.
No, hold on. I would say I'm agnostic that the Bible's the word of God.
No,
But when I ask you for
you
just so
state
when I ask you, hold on, and you
Let him finish,
presuppose,
Darth.
hold on, and you when I ask you about your presuppositions and justifications for those, right? You cited the word of God and the Bible as justification for the existence of God, right? When I asked you why you believe that the Bible's words are true, you cited that God revealed them to you, right? So it just seems like only one of us here is engaged in circular reasoning.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, now you have a contradiction on your hands. You stated that neither of us has an actual basis of justification, but then you told me you're agnostic as to whether or not the Bible is the Word of God. Okay, if the Bible is in fact what it attests to, then by definition, it would be its own justification by definition. Now, you're agnostic as to whether the Bible is its own justificatory path. Is that correct?
I would say that it couldn't be its own justification.
I asked you a simple question. Are you agnostic as to whether the Bible is its own justification?
It can't be its own justification without
So,
circular.
so you're not. So either you're agnostic as to whether the Bible is its own justification or not. Which is it?
I would say I'm not. No.
You're not agnostic. So okay. So in other words, now you're changing your tune again. So a minute ago, you said you were agnostic about the nature of the Bible. So now you're not agnostic. So since you're not agnostic about the Bible, either the Bible is what it attests to or it is not. Which is your position?
I would say you're unjustified in believing that the word of the Bible is true.
I didn't ask you what you thought about my reasoning. I asked you what the nature of the Bible was. Now, you see, in the entire conversation, Sam, I'm going to give you a little help here. You'll make yourself look better and more intelligent in conversations and debates with people if you actually answer the questions that are put to you. Every time I've asked you a question, you have been entirely evasive and you answer something that I don't ask
Darth,
you.
do you have presuppositions?
Okay. Yeah, go porn bomb somebody else.
Do you have
Okay, now, Sam, now the question I ask you, either the Bible, in your view, since you're not agnostic as to what the nature of the Bible is the Bible what it attests to or not?
I don't believe it is. No.
Okay, so the Bible is not what it attests to. Now, what is your ultimate basis for making that adjudication?
We've already gone down this line.
Okay, we gotta wrap this up, man. I mean, you're going in circles
Yeah.
now.
So in other words, you don't have a
Darth
basis
is
for a reason. In other words,
Darth,
all of your conclusions about this and that, your conclusions about that the Bible is not what it attests to, is based upon what your elementary and foundational unjustified presuppositions are. So all of your conclusions, all your statements of fact simply are the product of your unfounded, baseless presuppositions.
Darth, we've already been down this line of reasoning, and I've already conceded to all that, right? I've already said, yeah, sure.
Yeah, game over.
hold on. No, it's not, right? All my presuppositions are unjustified, but I want to ask you, do you have any presuppositions, Darth?
Everybody has some presuppositions. Now, I also have what are fundamental mental states that are God ordained. You will either accept that or you won't. The bottom line here is this: it's game over, lights out for you, because you have now admitted that whatever assertion you make, whether big or little, fat or skinny, your assertions are without foundation. So there's no point in you speaking and making assertions any further, because you've already conceded that you have no ultimate foundation or basis for any such assertions.
Actually, that isn't the case. I mean, if you're going to concede that you have presuppositions, and what I'm going to predict is that you're not going to be able to provide adequate justification for those, right? Just like I wasn't. You're in
You
the
don't have
same
a
boat.
basis for justification, Sammy. That's the problem.
When you say adequate justification, the problem is you've now uttered another contradiction, because you've already admitted that there is no justification in your worldview. And since there's no justification in your worldview, there's no justification for you to say that there is adequate justification or not.
Okay, at this point, listen, so I'm going to ask Sammy just to wrap it up. Just give your final comment, and then Duncan can make his final comment, and then this conversation.
Yeah, Tasteless, thank you for doing the good job on moderation.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So the final comment I'm going to say is that all of my justifications are going to be contingent on my presuppositions. Yes, my presuppositions are going to be baseless, just like everyone's presuppositions are. Even Darth's presupposition. I mean, Darth tries to be incredibly dishonest when he talks about this. He'll say things like, "Oh, it's the Bible is virtuously circular, or it's self-justifying," or he'll try any tactic to get out of saying the obvious, that he has presuppositions as well, and his presuppositions are just as baseless as everyone else's, right? But at the end of the day, we both assume these presuppositions. That's it.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah, what you just heard was Charlie Brown's teacher speaking. He has conceded numerous times in the conversation that he has no ultimate basis for his assertions. Therefore, what he just stated is without basis.
Good. Okay, I'm glad we had this conversation. Now, if anyone else wants to talk, yeah, you.
I I have a question. What are we asking when we ask whether an assertion has an ultimate basis? What exactly does that question amount?
It's providing foundationally for the intelligibility of any assertion.
What exactly do you mean by intelligibility? Do you mean
Intelligibility means that it means something with respect to the context that it derives its meaning from. Facts don't speak for themselves. A fact is a fact in relation to everything else, and especially that which is the ground of all being.
a fact is a fact? Wait, can you say that part again?
A fact is a fact only in respect to the nature of reality and the ground of all being. One cannot offer the metaphysical intelligibility of a predication if it is devoid of background information. Otherwise, the statement doesn't mean anything. Background information is contextual, and there can be varying contextual ranges of context, right? And the most foundational context is what's going to provide for ultimate intelligibility. But we have Luddites like Sam to make one assertion after another, and then he just says, "Oh, well, we don't ultimately have a basis for our assertions, and neither do you," which is another assertion. But he admits that assertion is without basis. So basically, he's just shooting his mouth off while saying, "Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. I'm asserting things that are without basis." I mean, it's hysterical that he can keep a straight face and say things like that.
Are there facts about the foundation itself?
What?
Are there facts about the foundation itself with respect to it? All other facts have meaning.
Yeah, there's going to be something that is ultimate, and the position that I hold to is that the God of the Bible is the ultimacy and
Let's
personal
go over the
absolute
agency.
that provides for all factness. If you deny that, then you're going to have to tell me what does.
So the facts about the foundation itself also don't have meaning, irrespective of the foundation.
Say that again.
The facts about the foundation itself also don't have meaning, irrespective of the foundation.
No, that which is absolute is non-dependent. Okay, when we talk about facts in general, when we talk about a fact, we're either going to speak about that which is dependent or non-dependent. When I say facts require context, I'm speaking about facts that are dependencies. Okay, so when I characterize what the nature and intelligibility of facts are, I'm speaking about facts that are dependent. Okay, as opposed to the ultimate fact, that which is ultimate and absolute. Now, in my worldview, the ultimate non-dependency is God Himself. Is that something that you share with me?
I'm just trying to get clear on the dialectic.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get clear as I asked you a question.
Repeat the question.
In my view, the God of the Bible is the ground of all being. He's the personal ultimate that provides for all dependencies. Do you share that?
I'm not sure because I'm not sure I understand the claim.
Do you believe that the God of the Bible exists?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, so you don't share that with me. Isn't that amazing? This is like pulling teeth. I ask a simple question and it takes 3 minutes to get a simple answer.
Well, you asked the question in many different ways.
No, I said I hold that the God of the Bible is the personal absolute that everything depends. And I said, do you share that? And it took you 3 minutes to answer that.
The first question was, is God the ultimate foundation for all being? The second question was, does God exist? It's possible to endure.
No, that was a simplification of my question that I already answered. Since it took you 3 minutes to answer a simple question, I had to dumb it down even further so you couldn't find a way to evade it.
But those questions are logically distinct. One could think that God exists and yet deny that God is the ground for all being. For example, if one is a Platonist about properties and thinks that properties necessarily exist independent of God.
Yeah. So, what previous screen name have you gotten under?
I can't remember. I have like a bunch.
Yeah. Does Godlyish ring a bell?
That's not.
No, I'm godlyish. That's not me. Sorry, Darth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You sound familiar. So
You can't run from your trolls, Darth.
Okay. Now your server muted.
Duncan, I'm wondering why do we have to have a...
Okay, now 1112, whatever your name is. On what basis do you assert any states of affairs?
What does it mean to say that an assertion has a basis? Is that a
Okay. Yeah, what it simply means is why is anything intelligible with respect to its system, since your system does not include the God of the Bible as the personal absolute?
All right, so now I need to go back and ask what intelligibility means. It sounded like you understood it.
Yeah, listen, dude, stop bullshitting and answer the question.
Why did Darth just overtalk him?
I can't answer an ambiguous question that could mean one of.
Yeah, so I'm not being ambiguous. What is it that ultimately provides for intelligibility?
By intelligibility, are you asking a semantic question or a metaphysical? Intelligibility sounds like
metaphysical intelligibility. What provides that something is what it is with respect to the system?
I don't think anything explains why something is what it is. I think that claims about what something is are not the sorts of things that it makes sense to explain. It's like asking what causes an object.
Position is there is no absolute that all dependencies derive from.
I didn't say that.
Do you believe that there is something that is absolute that provides for all dependent situations or states of affairs?
Let me give an example. Here is a fact: if God exists, God is
You're evading my question. Evade the question again, and the conversation will end. Do you believe that there is something out? You're over talking me. Now, if you evade my question again, as you've been doing since the
Wait,
beginning,
Darth just
then the conversation will be over. Okay, hold on a second. Now, do you believe that there is something absolute that provides for the existence and intelligibility of all dependent states of affairs?
Are you including not only states of affairs with respect to which it makes sense to
Okay,
ask for
answer the question now, or I will turn your volume down and you will be ignored. Now, you have shown that you have a propensity toward evasiveness. Now, answer the question. If you do not answer it right now, then you will be completely ignored here on out. I'm very aware that people like you who have the aptitude of being evasive.
So it's evasive to request clarification on what
Answer
question.
the question.
Which question? Because you're
Okay,
expressing
bye. Okay, we're done.
What a coward.
Damn. Duncan got humiliated.
Who got humiliated?
Bye, godly-ish.
Actually, according to Kalo, 111121 because Darth called him evasive.
Yeah,
So,
Duncan has no rebuttal to the argument. It's embarrassing.
Well, nobody gave an argument, so.
especially 11121 because Kalo said whoever Darth calls evasive wins by default.
He wasn't being evasive, he was simply asking a clarifying question. The question was about the nature of Darwin's query, and he just required some clarification.
I agree.
Definitely, yeah.
I think he didn't give him a chance to answer the question because he was jumping ahead and then just cutting him off. Like, if he's not going to answer the question, let him finish and then be like, okay, you said this and it doesn't answer the question. And then there you have accomplished the same thing, except without the unknown. You've let him say his piece, and then you can say it didn't answer the question after he's done, and then he will have no rebuttal.
Am I still muted?
Look, Darth, as soon as Darth figured out that he was intellectually inferior, he thought it was me. Wasn't that just hilarious?
Bye, godly-ish.
You said bye godly-ish like 3 times now.
Yeah, the hammer's coming.
It didn't respond to any of the other claims that were presented.
Oops, where'd he go? How'd that happen?
Why does it take so long to unmute people?
All right, we'll take care of this.
Darth, you really need to stop muting people because I'm trying to unmute them so that they can have a conversation with you, but you're cucking out.
Who's talking to me? Yeah, do not unmute my mutes.
Why?
Why? Because you will lose your moderation if you do.
I don't really care.
That won't happen. Don't worry about that, Asian. It doesn't.
Yeah, he's just a little pussy. Right?
LeBron's not gonna vote anybody.
There's a video of him actually yelling at people because of that.
The Darth freak out video.
I would say
Wait,
whichever
I
side,
think Darth just kicked someone.
whichever side is afraid to.
He doesn't have power to kick people.
Side that's,
Doesn't? Oh, okay.
No, he wasn't putting.
Gee, I wonder where Godlyish went.
Yeah, I think he just kicked him.
Why anyone would use the term intelligibility, which is linked to meaning and semantics with metaphysics. It's just obscure.
I mean, why bother even engaging in a debate if it can end up in you getting banned for having an opinion or disagreement?
Well, I didn't even disagree. I just asked a series of questions about what the questions were meant to express.
I wasn't talking about you. I was just talking about the situation in general. I mean, if you're gonna ban somebody for having, for asking for clarification or even for being a little evasive on your question,
Well, you need to
superior logic before the-
understand the background information right hand before you make such foolish evaluations.
No, I'm basing my on
You
observations.
you
right
don't
now.
have access to the background information as to why that individual was banned.
But the background information has no.
Do you have the
impact
background
on
information?
reality.
Do you have the background information?
I don't think background information has.
Do you
any
have the
impact on
background
why
information?
That doesn't change the reason for.
Do
why
you
they
have
were
the
banned.
background information as to why they were banned?
I have the what happened. Yes, I do actually.
Okay,
Because they were banned for what happened in my presence.
No, wrong.
Yes, it is.
Wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you have to provide empirical evidence that you didn't ban.
Yeah,
and-
blah, 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 blah. Next time you shoot your mouth
debater,
off
dude.
as to why something took place, it would behoove you to actually have the background information,
Well, I was
which you
there.
don't have.
You were debating him. You said he was being evasive.
Do you know who banned him?
I don't. I'm sure it was somebody who was listening to you complain to them.
And do you know why they banned him?
Because you were complaining to them, and people suck your dick for some reason.
And do you know what was stated for the reason for their ban?
You complained. You have clout, so they appeased you.
And why were they banned?
Because you have clout, and people want to appease you to keep this.
No, what was the reason given for the ban hammer?
He just told you.
Appeasement to you.
No, you see, you don't know, do you?
No, you can't prove anything besides that.
Okay, yeah. Listen, little boy, when you grow up and you grow a few brain cells, let me know.
You got banned.
Somebody who is smarter never says they are smarter. They just prove it.
Can you just tell me who got banned, please? I'm curious. I just walked back.
Godlyish.
Oh,
He's assuming that somebody was using another account.
okay. Godlyish was not banned by Darth, so you can stop those allegations.
It was another guy who Darth thought was on another account.
No, again, you're misconstruing what was spoken.
Then clarify there.
I don't need to clarify
Well,
it.
then
My
I'm
point
not
is simply this:
misconstruing.
my point is simply this. My point is simply you're not aware of the background information, nor do I have any need or requirement to explain it to you.
Or you're just making up lies so that what you did in reality doesn't seem as.
You can fantasize whatever malfeasance you want to think of me. Be my guest.
I'm basing my
fantasize whatever
observation on.
Yeah.
I saw you label somebody evasive who was asking for clarification, so that's what I'm going to base my observations on.
Yeah, that was 112.
Yeah, that's the topic that I'm talking about, and I think that's
Right.
what got banned.
112 was not banned.
and the way you handled the topic doesn't change. You still ended a conversation with somebody who was asking for clarification.
Right. I did end it because I'm accustomed to some people who are entirely evasive when I ask questions, and he was given due warning. Okay, he evaded my simple questions multiple times, and it comes to a point when somebody nonstop evades my questions. Okay, by giving me a circuitous response, then I end the conversation. I'm not going to be involved in a circle jerk of evasion.
First, you labeled the questions evasive. I don't agree. I believe he was
Yeah.
asking
Well,
for
I don't go by your
were
opinion.
extremely complicated, and you
If
tried
I
to
wanted
use
your
verbiage to
opinion,
be confused.
if I wanted your opinion on the matter, I would have asked you.
There is no asking for opinions. I'm giving it up. I'm
Yeah,
giving
okay.
an unbiased view of what.
I consider it entirely unworthy.
Well, I believe in God, so God gave me senses, and I'm giving my version of what happened based on the senses that
What
God.
what kind of God believer are you?
I'm a Christian biblical literalist.
You are. Okay.
Now he's gonna try and prove to you that
I
you're
would
not
love to
because
debate
you
you
don't
on
agree
flat
with
Earth,
him.
man. I would love to debate you on flat Earth.
And no one could
believe in a flat
disagree
Earth?
with Darth.
The Bible says the Earth is unmovable. How do you have an unmovable Earth going around?
Okay. All right. Thank you for informing me. You just saved me from wasting a lot of time.
Yeah, I know. So what you did right there was take your inferior position and remove it and try and make it appear superior. But good job. I'm onto it though. But it works on lesser people, I'm sure. But it's not going to work on.
How many people in the room agree that questions using the term metaphysical intelligibility are simple questions?
He's using verbose language to confuse the conversation. The whole point of debate is to break the conversation down to the lowest common denominator. Darts is about confusing and confuddling.
Right. Is the God of the Bible the ultimate precondition for everything?
Well, he just ignored that. That's hilarious.
That's
Right?
being evasive, Darth.
Is the God of the Bible the ultimate precondition of everything?
Oh, absolutely. He is, yes.
Okay, so when an unbeliever asserts certain states of affairs, and it carries with it implicitly that those states of affairs exist without God, is such a statement metaphysically intelligible?
But we can't presuppose that everybody believes in God. I believe in God, so I would disagree with that statement. But if
Yeah,
God,
I didn't hear an answer to my question. Did you need me to repeat it?
No, I said I agree with you. Okay, but I'm saying I
Can
agree with you because I
unbelievers
believe in
can unbelievers make predications that are metaphysically intelligible when they maintain unbelief in God as the personal absolute?
I think they can.
Okay, yeah. Well, then you don't hold to the Christian worldview.
I didn't say they can be right. I said you can make.
No.
Why does it have to be?
I didn't.
Why does
You
it have to
disagree
be
with me? You're
intelligible?
not a Christian.
Duncan.
What I said to you.
Darth,
what I
why
said
does it have to be true to be
was,
intelligible?
Please do not overtalk me. Right. All right. You guys are lucky I'm patient that I don't mute more than I do. Now, right.
Fucking just slinging horse
You
shit.
told me you hold to the Christian worldview. Metaphysical intelligibility entails that something means something with respect to what it depends upon. If something is asserted to exist but doesn't depend upon God, then such a state of affairs in the Christian worldview doesn't exist. Do you understand the mistake that you've made?
But not everybody adheres to the Christian worldview.
Did you understand the mistake that you made?
Are you understanding that not everybody has
Did
the
you
same
understand
view?
the mistake that you made?
Okay, so how are you going to have a debate? Just repeat.
Okay, we're done. I'm going to turn your volume down. I'm going to put a note in here that you're
Shut
just
the
an
fuck up, Darth, you
argumentative
fucking
person.
retard.
Okay, now turn you down.
Absolute trash.
There we go.
Local muting is
That's
not
being
allowed.
evasive.
If everywhere you go you smell shit, you should look under your own
Darth,
shoe.
Darth, why does something have to be true to be intelligent? Why can't you understand their metaphysical position without agreeing with it or without agreeing that it's true? Saying it's unintelligible is not the same thing as saying it's incorrect from your worldview.
Can I ask, how come you're not talking with a female voice now?
Because
I
I'm
mean,
not
I don't think Darth
indulging you
ever
with a
answered the
female
question.
voice.
Well, don't you talk? Don't you
How come
talk
you're not
like somebody
talking?
speaks in the New Testament?
To the question, retard. Answer the fucking question.
Yeah, sure. I'll be glad to answer the question. I was just dumbfounded that you weren't talking in your usual feminine voice.
Yeah, we know the whole bit, Darth. Just answer the question,
Waiting
please.
for your answer, Darth.
Yeah. Okay. So repeat the question.
Why are you asserting that for something to be intelligible, it must be true and it must agree with your worldview? Why can't you understand a position that you don't agree with or you find untrue? Do you not know what the word intelligible means?
Yeah. You notice that I qualify the term. You'll notice that I qualify the term as metaphysical intelligibility. I'm not simply, when I say intelligibility, I'm not referring to semantic apprehension. I'm talking about that a predication or a proposition is offered and that it actually means something within the greater context of reality.
Supposedly, it would mean something that you find to be incorrect. It still means something, you disingenuous fool.
No, something only means something with respect to the ground of all being. Now, if you want to believe,
wait, that doesn't make any
can
sense.
mean something.
Ground of all being, there can't be a ground.
Listen, if you're going to overtalk me, you're going to get server muted.
I'm like, there's just no such thing though. It's incoherent.
Absolutely incoherent.
Now you're server muted.
That was absolutely incoherent. I'm going to go ahead and
now. Is it your position? Is it your position that something
I don't hear
can
you,
be
so you just stop
metaphysically
talking.
intelligible without it being dependent? I'm not hearing an answer. Is it your view that something can be metaphysically intelligible if it's a dependency situation without having something ultimate to depend upon? What's your answer? No answer.
You're presupposing that reality is unattainable without God. And
Yeah,
not
I can't
everybody
hear you
finds
right. I have
reality.
your volume turned down.
Yeah, well then too bad. You're missing out on
Yeah, you
wow,
definitely
really?
can hear someone who you just immediately responded to. Genius.
No, I can hear him mumbling, but he immediately, as soon as I stopped talking, he was responding to me. So all I heard is mumbling, and I'm informing him that he's wasting his time speaking to me.
I'm not speaking to you, I'm speaking to the crowd. All they need to hear is my response to your pathetic question, and they will come to their own conclusions. You're the only one missing out on knowledge, sir. Laugh at him.
I just want to interject and say I'm confused because somebody gave an account of intelligibility, and Darth's response is that intelligibility is not a semantic notion. But then when he went on to give an explanation, he talked about something's having meaning in relation to other things. Something's having meaning is a semantic notion. So either metaphysical intelligibility is a semantic notion, or it isn't. If it isn't, then the explication
talking bullshit like he always fucking does. He's literally just disingenuous moron. Darth is the perfect example of someone who's read way beyond their ability to understand anything and just misapplies concepts constantly in a perpetual sophistics so that he can justify his unjustified ego.
And you talk about misapplication, and
Because
you
he's
fantasize
incapable
that
of
you're a
critical
female
thinking.
when you were born a male?
I was born both, Darth. I was born with a vaginal canal, a uterus, a penis, and ovotestes, which are half ovary and half. So go ahead and tell me whatever you want to fucking tell me about my
what
sex.
were you? And
but you're incoherent.
What chromosomes were you born with? Was it XX or XY?
X, and Y, all three, dumbass.
Okay, yeah, but you do know with that syndrome, you are still distinctly male or female.
Which syndrome? There are 7 XXY syndromes.
Yeah, there are.
Which one are you talking about?
In any one of those that I looked up, you're either distinctly male or female.
Name them.
No, that's not how that works, Darth.
Yeah, name them, Darth.
Jesus Christ.
You just alleged that you know what you're talking about. Name the 7 syndromes.
Yeah, they have all of it.
Yourself.
Darth, name the 7 syndromes. I'm waiting.
Oh, I didn't say I could name them off the top of my head.
So are you lying? Are you lying again?
No, I'm not.
How do you determine someone with XXY chromosomes?
In the literature, in the biological literature that I have read, they pointed out that even with the various chromosomal disorders, one is born distinctly male or female.
Citation, please.
Disorders. it's the biological material that I've read on the
my particular disorder is referred
two or
to.
three people.
Listen to me, idiot.
Then okay,
Listen to me, idiot.
Okay, no, you're server muted now. Okay.
What have you
Listen to me.
read, Darth?
My particular syndrome is
the difference. Oh, there it
Server
goes.
muted the wrong guy.
Yeah. So Darth, what have you read on this matter?
Thank you.
Oh, he muted his sound, guys.
And he definitely. That's funny as fuck.
Can we all get the Darth tag?
He muted me instead.
I think he muted himself.
That's being evasive.
But I just want to reiterate what I said earlier. Someone else, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Right the Hand or High IQ. I'm not sure.
I'm back.
Basically asked Darth what metaphysical intelligibility is supposed to mean, and they offered as a proposal. Yeah, you offered as a proposal that intelligibility is basically a semantic notion. It has to do with whether or not an assertion, or I shouldn't even say an assertion, I should say an utterance, has meaning. And Darth, in responding to you, denied that the notion of intelligibility he has in mind is semantic, which is why he calls it metaphysical intelligibility. But then when he went on to define what metaphysical intelligibility is, he appealed to the notion of meaning, which is a semantic notion. So I have no idea what metaphysical intelligibility is supposed to be. So when somebody asks me a question using sentences that have the phrase metaphysical intelligibility in them, I have no idea what the questions mean. So how am I supposed to answer a question that I literally don't know what it means?
That's kind of the point.
I mean, it's clear there was no attempt at debate. It was just, I'm going to say this, and if you don't say yes or no,
You guys are arguing Darth. Have none of you guys met Darth prior to this? Like,
No, yeah.
Come on, let's be honest with each
Okay,
other.
random person. I don't really care.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Anybody argues with Darth.
Hey.
I mean, guys,
If you did know the information, he wouldn't have engaged you.
Yeah,
let
Claire.
me just ask, how familiar are you people with Darth? Because
No one fucking cares.
Shut up.
Wait. He's been doing this for years.
No one knows.
We get it.
Shut up. We all know who he is. Now, Claire, how funny it was when you said the
Dawkins, dude. Okay.
Oh my god.
I mean,
okay, now someone needs to actually mute that guy. Claire, how funny?
You don't know who
How
he
funny
is.
was? How funny was it when he was like, "I've read all this biological literature," and I'm like, "What literature?" Insta-deafen.
Yeah. He couldn't name the syndromes. Couldn't name the literature. It's
Well, the
just the
syndromes.
biological literature.
I wouldn't expect him to name the syndromes, but he should at least.